Okay, great. Is everyone able to hear me and see me well?
Let's get some thumbs up in the chat.
Okay, Tamara, can you hear me and see me?
Yes, Bina.
Okay, great. Okay, welcome everyone. My name is Bina and I'm a nutritionist at the Department for the Aging. And today we're going to be doing a cooking demo to learn how to make over here. This is a berry yogurt parfait, and we're going to also learn how to make the granola in there. This program was brought to you in partnership with the Virtual Smart Living Initiative and the Shine Grant, and the New York City Department for the Aging and the USDA. Okay, so just to start, we're gonna do the homemade granola recipe first. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm going to.
Bina, you're muted on that on your face screen.
Oh, okay. But you can still hear me through the other screen, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I just didn't want to keep both of them on.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to preheat the oven first. We're going to put it to 215. Okay. And the first thing that we're going to do is I'm going to be using Quaker oats. I like to use the old-fashioned oats. This might come out a little bit different from the quick oats. So what you're going to do is you are going to measure out 4 cups of these Quaker oats. So you're going to need a measuring cup. And we're going to want to measure out 4 of these. So this is 1, 2, 3, and 4. And this is a really easy recipe. It only requires about 4 ingredients. And then the next thing that we're going to use is some oil and honey. So I like to do the oil first because then it's much easier to get the honey out of the cup. So we're going to be using 1/3 of a cup of oil. So we're going to measure that out here and pour that in. Okay. And next we're going to be doing the honey.
Bina, sorry to interrupt you. Is there a way we can switch and so that we can see your face and then mute the other one?
Yeah, let me switch that. Hold on 1 second.
I got it.
Okay. Okay, are you still able to hear me well? Okay, great. All right, so we're gonna measure out 1/3 of a cup of honey. Okay. And then after that, we just need to add the cinnamon and we're gonna mix it well until the oats are really well coated. So I personally like to put on a glove so that my hands don't get too sticky, but you can feel free to do this with your hands if you like. Okay. And this is a great recipe to be able to make at home because when you buy something like granola from the grocery store, a lot of times there's a lot of added sugar in it. And when you make it at home, you get to control how much sweetness is in there. Okay. And if you like, you can also, double the recipe and make all of it at once and then, store it in some Ziploc bags to keep it fresh for longer. Okay. So this looks like it's mixed pretty well. And we are going to add the cinnamon to it. But before we do that, I'm just gonna set some aside because I do have a family member with a cinnamon allergy. So I'm gonna make some aside, special aside for her. Okay, and we want it to basically come out like as a thin layer so that the oats get baked well. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add the cinnamon to the rest of the batch. Okay, and all you need is just 1 teaspoon. And the cinnamon really gives it such a great flavor. So you're going to measure out 1 teaspoon of that. And then we'll mix that in. Okay. And having things like eating things like oats, oats is a great source of soluble fiber. So soluble fiber is something that in the body, it could help to lower our cholesterol when we eat foods that contain soluble fiber. So, you know, this is something good for heart health. And it also has the insoluble fiber, which is something that can help to keep us regular and also keep us basically full for longer. So
While you're mixing, Vina, I have a question from Mary about if there's a possibility to use any other oil than canola oil.
Yeah, sure. You could use other oils if you like. You just want to use, you know, the thing is sometimes people ask about coconut oil in a recipe like this, but coconut oil does have a lot of saturated fat, which is something that could raise cholesterol in the body. So saturated fat is something you could have in limited amounts. But, you know, that's just something you want to try to choose a heart healthier oil. So, you know, other oils could work well. You just want to use the oil that's good for baking. Okay. And now that this looks like it's pretty well coated, we're going to transfer it into a pan. So if you do on the rest, on the flyer that you received, it does say wax paper, but I would actually choose, you know, something like parchment paper. You want to, if you do want to use some type of paper on the pan, you want to make sure that it's oven safe. So this is something that could, it says on the package, it's oven safe up to 425 degrees Fahrenheit. So for us, that's fine because the oven is on 215. So you want to just make sure the type of paper that you're using is safe for your oven. And, but I decided just to lightly grease the pan. And now we're going to spread it out on the pan. Okay. And this is going to bake for about 2 hours. Once it's baked for 2 hours, you're going to see that it has like a nice chewy texture. If you do want it to be a little bit more crunchy or well done, you could feel free to keep it in for a little bit longer than that. Okay. So we're going to just spread this out a little bit. Okay. And now that it's all ready, we're going to throw this into the oven. Okay. And you're going to set the timer for 2 hours. Okay. All right. And now we're ready to start making this berry yogurt parfait. Okay. So basically, if you wait 2 hours, you're going to see what the granola looks like. So this is what it looks like after baking for about 2 hours. It's nice and crispy and crunchy. Okay. So the first thing that you're going to want to get out is one of these nice parfait glasses, or you could just use a regular cup if you prefer that. So the first ingredient that we're going to be using in this recipe is some yogurt. You want to choose 0% or 1% yogurt because that has less saturated fat in it, but it has the same amounts of protein and calcium and vitamin D. So we're still getting the same amount of the nutrients we want to get more of. And we're going to take, and you can also use Greek yogurt if you prefer. That has more protein in it, and it has a little bit of a creamier feel. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to measure out a little bit. Oops. We're going to measure out a little bit of this into the cup. Okay, and if it gets a little bit messy, you're going to just dry the side of it like that. Okay, and the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to put the fruit on it. So let me just move this out of the way from here so that you could see it better. Okay. We're going to slice a banana. And before we slice it, a good idea is just to rinse it. So you can add just a little bit, you know, if you're making 4 glasses of these, then you might want to use the whole thing, but we do have other fruit that we're going to be adding in. So I'm going to just cut this up just a little bit. Okay. And then we're going to add that in, a few of those. We're going to add in some berries. So I'm putting in some strawberries. Okay, and these strawberries you can get fresh or frozen. I chose to get frozen Dole strawberries. This is personally, it's more convenient for me to have strawberries in my freezer. And then for the blueberries, I got fresh. So we're gonna also add some of those in. Okay, and the next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna put some granola on top. So over here is the granola, and I'm gonna just get some pieces out. It got a little bit, you'll probably be a little bit more successful getting the granola out if you do it like right after it bakes, but that's fine. You can still take it out easily afterwards, even if you didn't do it immediately. So this is a little bit of an easier way for me to get it out. And as you can see, it breaks apart easily. And we're gonna add that in. You might just wanna kind of like separate it a little bit with your fingers. And you could really decide how much of each layer you wanna have. Some people like it with more fruit or more granola, so that's up to you. And we are going to add it in maybe another few layers just to make it look nice. And we're gonna add in some more yogurt now. Okay. I do prefer to make the layers thin because that way, you know, the flavors mix better as opposed to having thick layers. Okay. So we just did the yogurt. Now we're going to add in the rest of the bananas. And some more strawberries. Okay. Some more blueberries. Okay, and then I like to sprinkle a little bit of granola on the top like that. Okay, so this is what the final product could look like over here. Okay, so what questions do you have? One second. Oh, I see. 1 second. One second. All right, Kayleen and Ashley, do you see the questions coming in?
Hi, yeah, so there's a few questions in the chat.
Do you
One,
know where Tamar is?
she got kicked off for a
Oh.
second, so she's not host anymore. So, and I can't make her host.
Is she still here?
She's here if you're able to do that.
Oh, okay, I just don't, oh, here, there we go. Okay. All right, Tamar is the co-host again.
Thanks, Nina. Sorry about that. I got kicked out. Okay, we do have a question. Can we use minute oats instead of old-fashioned oats?
Yes, you could use the minute oats. The texture of the oats just might come out a little bit differently, but you can definitely use that as a substitute instead.
Okay, thank you. And then we had another question. The host disabled camera and the mic, and that is just to streamline everything. Greta, if you have a question, if you want to put that in the chat so we can answer it for you. And if anyone else has any questions for Bina, this parfait looks amazing and I can't wait to make it. What other types of fruit do you recommend, Bina?
Okay, so that's a good question. Really, any type of fruit that you like could work as a replacement. More specifically, some that might work well would be raspberries, blackberries, peaches, mangoes. Those are all currently in season, so they could also really work well with this recipe.
Awesome. And then we had another question. What would be a good substitute for oats if I have an oat allergy?
Oh, yes. Thank you for bringing that up. That was actually also on the recipe. That if you don't want to have oats, I'm not sure if you're allergic to nuts or if there are any nuts that you're not allergic to, but nuts could also work really well for adding that crunch and also adding some fiber and protein into this recipe. If you do have chewing difficulties, what you could do is you could use ground nuts, or even if you are, for those of you who are able to eat oats, you could put some of this granola into a food processor and ground it up, and it also tastes delicious in this recipe.
Smart. Okay, breaking up the oats into smaller pieces and adding nuts. I love that. I feel like flaxseed and chia seeds would be good in that mix too.
Definitely. Yeah, and the flaxseed and chia seeds will add in some omega-3, which is a really great type of heart healthy fat. And also for those who have chewing difficulties, you could use any type of nut butter or seed butter that you like in order for the layering as well.
Ooh, yum. Some almond butter sounds awesome in that. Good questions, everyone. Any other questions? Please send them into the chat. How long does the granola keep for?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that it might even last for I've made it in the past, and it could be even for a few weeks that it would last for, and it would still be pretty tasty. I would just recommend putting it into a sealed Ziploc bag in order to preserve the freshness. And the temperature of the oven was 215 degrees Fahrenheit.
215 degrees Fahrenheit. Thank you.
For anybody who is lactose intolerant, one thing that I'll mention is that, people who are lactose intolerant might not be able to have regular cow's milk, but some people who are lactose intolerant could have yogurt. because the bacteria in the yogurt helps to convert the sugar in milk, lactose, into lactic acid. So you might be okay with having yogurt, but if you prefer not to have regular yogurt, you can also consider soy yogurt as an alternative, which is pretty similar in terms of the protein and the calories and nutrients. It's similar to cow's milk. And it also, it doesn't have saturated fat the way that some types of yogurt, like those with a higher percent of fat, might have.
Good suggestion. Thanks, Bina. Okay, are there any other questions? Okay, thank you so much, Bina. This was so great. These look so good, and I love how like seasonably interchangeable they are, you know, by swapping out different ingredients per season. These look really great. Thank you so much.
Okay, great. Thank you for everyone for joining today. And we hope to see you at our next cooking demo.
Yes, the next one is going to be August. Do we know which day? August 31st for English. And Bina, if you just want to remind everyone who sponsored this class, thanks to them.
Yeah, sure. So again, this program was brought to you in partnership with the Virtual Smart Living Initiative and the Shine Grant and the New York City Department for the Aging and the USDA. So we thank our sponsors for this event, and we also thank all of you for joining. We'll hope to see you again next time.
Thanks, Bina. The next class is July 27th in Spanish. Providers, please look out for an email in your inbox with the flyer for that. Okay, Bina, I think we can stop the recording now.
Okay, great.